Okay, so let's start with some Olympics 101. You must watch the opening ceremonies. This is something I think a lot of people skip, and I have a lot of argument as to why you should watch the opening ceremonies. So I've been watching the Olympics religiously, definitely at least since the year 2000. And I have watched almost all of those opening ceremonies. But the one that I remember that made me an evangelist about this is the 2008 opening ceremonies that happened in Beijing. I really think that China set the new bar for what the opening ceremonies could be like. And from there on out, I haven't really been disappointed too much. So in 2008, they used something like 15,000 performers to pull off the performance at the opening ceremonies. I think they spent over $100 million, something like that. They had 2,000 drummers. They used LED lights, which definitely back then was a newer concept. The tech that they used to do this show, it was insane. And they really set the bar for what it could be at the opening ceremonies, which is kind of turned into this like fusion of like a Broadway spectacle or a Super Bowl halftime performance blowout fusion situation. It's a lot. And China, as China does, kind of loves to set the bar. I think it was the most insane thing I had seen, and it is the singular reason why I always watch the opening ceremonies now. Now, something else that's really cool about the opening ceremonies is that I think the goal has become now to really capture the place that it's held in, to celebrate the culture of the location where it's held at that time. And I've seen that evolve ever since 2008 in a really unique way. Every country is going to do their own spin on it. It's not going to be like what we're used to here in the United States all the time. And I really love that because that's why I'm watching the Olympics, to see something different. So you have China being the first one to pioneer, and I think they're always kind of the pioneers of so many things throughout history, to retool what it could be. And it all becomes about celebrating the culture and the history of the place. So another fun one that off the top of my head comes up is the 2012 Olympics that happened in London. The British, they're wacky and weird, and specifically their own thing. And they were a lot more fun and less serious about it. They did stuff like they had a whole James Bond montage with Daniel Craig picking up the Queen from Buckingham Palace and putting her in a helicopter, and that helicopter went over top the stadium and she parachutes out of the helicopter and lands in the Olympic Stadium. It was nuts. Only the British would come up with something as wacky as taking their own queen and parachuting her into the stadium. And the real Queen Elizabeth did kind of put up with this. Of course, they use a stuntman, but you got to see it for yourself. But I think who topped it all most recently was the last Summer Olympics in Paris, France in 2024. I think, and this is all just my opinion, you can fight me on this if you want, I think that Paris set the new bar for what the opening ceremonies could really be about. They did such a phenomenal job of capturing their culture and their history, and they did something really unique. So usually the part of the opening ceremonies is like a kind of a show at the beginning, and then they walk the parade all the countries out. Paris did a new spin on it. They kind of weaved it all together. And they did this other really bizarre new thing that people were really kind of concerned about how it was going to go. They brought the athletes in by boat down through the Seine River. And then as they got to different points on the river where different buildings were or historical moments, they stopped and had a performance about it. And they captured every type of genre of music, and it's all French artists. And it was just so spectacular. The thing about the Paris Olympics that was so special and done so well is that they made Paris a character in the story of not just the opening ceremonies, but the Olympics in their entirety. They made sure to bring in throughout the games that every game that happened, a different part of Paris was on showcase. For volleyball, it was played right in front of the Eiffel Tower. They had the equestrian fields at the Palace of Versailles, where there once was equestrian fields. I mean, them just layering in and wrapping in their history, and it was just so intelligent and so well done. I really hope that Paris is the new bar for where we could go. Now, the Olympics this time are going to be in Italy. And won't they try to match or do something similar? Who knows? It's always a surprise with the opening ceremonies, and that's part of the fun of it. Some are better than others. As an Italian American, I really hope that the Italians, go for it and represent. But I don't know. But either way, I highly encourage you to check out the opening ceremonies, which are coming on tonight, to see what they do. Because for me, it's a highlight of watching the Olympics. And since I'm sharing something that I really love with you just because I love it and I hope it brings you joy, then maybe you might find something fun in that. So this is my vote for go watch the opening ceremonies tonight. And good Lord, I really hope the Italians don't screw up my whole hard pitch on this now.